Hello and welcome to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Today we've got a couple of big trades to discuss, as Patrick Kane has finally been moved from the Chicago Blackhawks, and as expected he's going to the New York Rangers. And in a late night trade from last night, as Jonathan Quick is no longer a member of the Los Angeles Kings. We'll get to all of that coming up right now. Hello and welcome to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. I'll kick things off today by discussing the Patrick Kane trade. It finally went down, as most people thought that. As over the past week, there was a lot of speculation that Kane was going to be heading to the Rangers. They were just working out a deal, and it finally happened. So the trade is as follows. The Chicago Blackhawks get young player Vinny Saravari, AHL defenseman Andy Welinski, a conditional 2023 second-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. And they retain 50% of Kane's contract. Then Arizona, who is a third-party broker, retains 25% of Kane's contract to make the deal work. And they also get a conditional third-round pick in 2025 for their services. And then the New York Rangers get young AHL player Cooper Zek, as well as Patrick Kane, with 75% of his contract retained. So really good move for all three teams. We'll start with the Arizona Coyotes because they're not too much of a significant piece in this. The Yotes retained $2.625 million of Kane's contract, so not too much, but a decent amount. In exchange, they're able to get a 2025 third-round pick. Now, that condition for the Arizona Coyotes will be the lower of the Dallas Stars New York Rangers picks that the Rangers have that year. The Stars also have that pick on a condition and from a previous trade. So if the Stars give the Rangers that pick, the Rangers will give Arizona the lower of the two picks. If Dallas doesn't wind up giving him the pick, then the Coyotes will just receive the Rangers third-round pick in 2025. But good for the Arizona Coyotes to get in on some of the action. They retain a little bit of salary, which they can do because they have a lot of cap space. In return, they get a 2025 third-round pick, so not too bad of a trade for the Arizona Coyotes to make this work. For the Chicago Blackhawks, not too much of a return. I think some people might have been expecting a little bit more of a return, but I think it's a pretty good one. Saravari was moved by Arizona to the Blackhawks. Not much of an NHL player right now. He was drafted a while ago. He's been traded a couple of times. He spent a few years in the AHL a couple of years ago. Since then, he's been spending his time overseas. Last year, he had 33 points in 49 games in Liga. This year, he has 43 points in 52 games with the National League, so this doesn't look like he's ever going to be a good NHL forward, so just another player off the roster for Arizona. They also get Andy Welinski from the New York Rangers. He's been basically an AHL forward for the past few seasons, as he put up 19 points in 39 games last year, so far at 16 points in 40 games this year in the AHL, so probably won't get into any NHL games, but definitely a good depth defender for Blackhawks, especially with guy like Jake McCabe now not on the roster. If they run into injuries, they could probably call up a guy like Andy Welinski. But the picks are really good for them. They get a 2024 fourth-round pick, which would be a good pick for next year's draft for the Blackhawks. And then they also get a conditional second-round pick from this year's draft. Now, the condition is, if the Rangers do make it to the Eastern Conference Final this year, which means they win the first two rounds, the Rangers' 2023 second-round pick will upgrade to a 2024 first-round pick. And that pick is top 10 protected. So if the Rangers make the Eastern Conference this year, give the Blackhawks their 2024 first-rounder, and then they wind up having a top 10 pick next year, then that pick will be transferred to the 2025 draft as a first-round selection. So if the Rangers do make the Eastern Conference Final, the Hawks will either get the 2024 or 2025 first-round selection from the New York Rangers. So I think that's a pretty good deal for the Hawks. They get another draft capital in the fourth-round pick. They get a possible first-round pick, a good second-round pick at the very least. And I think this is going to be a really good deal for the Blackhawks to get some more draft capital and continue to do really well. As for the Rangers, they get Cooper Zek, who was actually traded to the Chicago Blackhawks by the Philadelphia Flyers in a minor trade earlier this year. Zek's an AHL player. He had 11 points in 53 games last year. He has 2 points in 13 AHL games this year, so he's not really much of an NHL forward and should remain in the AHL. But the big addition is Patrick Kane. Kane, coming off of a season where he had an outstanding point total, putting up 26 goals and 92 points in 78 games. So far this year, he hasn't done as well, but he's definitely been heating up as of late. He has 16 goals and 45 points in 54 games, and has definitely been playing on a heater recently, where he was scratched due to trade-related reasons. So definitely I think this is a really good move for the Rangers. They're just able to make it work cap-wise, as it did take a lot of cap juggling to make a trade work. But I definitely like this deal by the New York Rangers. I think that Kane should be able to slot into a top 6 role, and now you've got a lethal top 6. We know they already added Vladimir Tarasenko, so you got like a possible top line of Zibanejad, Kreider, and Tarasenko, and a second line of Kane, Trocheck, and Panarin. And when you already got a third line of Hedl, Kakko, and Lafreniere, that's a scary-looking top 9. And the Rangers are, in my opinion, going to be one of the favorites to go on and win the Stanley Cup this year after all these additions. So, an amazing trade for the New York Rangers, in my opinion. I think that the Rangers do win this deal, given the fact that they were able to get Kane for a really not too bad of a trade package. Given the fact that Kane wanted to go to the Rangers, there was not much the Blackhawks could do, so they got the best package they could in the circumstances, but given the fact that it got Kane for only like a conditional second-round pick and a fourth-round pick, I think that's a pretty good move by the Rangers. So I think that the Rangers do win this deal, but maybe in time the Blackhawks do wind up winning this deal. Maybe the Rangers make a first-round exit, they don't bring back Kane, and then the Blackhawks go out and get some good players with those draft picks. Maybe the Blackhawks do win this deal, but I think for the time being at least, the Rangers do win this deal. And I think Kane should be a really good top 6 addition to the Rangers team. Zach should just be a good AHL forward. Saravari should continue to play overseas. Walensky should probably be a good AHL player for the Blackhawks. Hawks get a good conditional second-round pick, possibly a first-round pick if the Rangers get to the Eastern Conference Final. They get a fourth-round pick, and then the Arizona Coyotes get a third-round pick for helping the deal work. So, really good trade for all 3 teams, and I definitely like the addition of Kane in New York. As for the other trade, it was a significant one that happened last night, as the LA Kings acquired Vladislav Gavrikov and Joonas Korpisalo from the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Jonathan Quick, a conditional 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 third-round pick. Pretty good deal for both sides. For the Kings, they get Joonas Korpisalo, who has actually turned his career around this year. He had a really bad season last year, putting up a 4.15 goals against average and 877 save percentage in 22 games. Ended the season due to a hip injury. Spent the offseason trying to recover from it. Returned to game action earlier this year, and has since done quite well. He has a 3.17 goals against average, which was a lot better than last year's, a 913 save percentage, which was a lot better than last year's, in 28 games. So Korpisalo's done really well. We know that the Kings were trying to improve their goaltending situation. I think this definitely does help their goaltending situation improve this year. Korpisalo probably won't remain with the Kings beyond this season, and I would expect the Kings to probably go and try and find a longer-term goaltender in the offseason. But for their playoff run, I definitely think that this is a good addition. Korpisalo can probably be a good tandem goalie with Phoenix Copley right now, and they could probably do really good as a 1A, 1B in LA. So I think this is a really good addition for LA, and hopefully if Korpisalo can stay healthy, I think the Kings definitely have a really good tandem now in that division. As for Gavrikov, we know that they've been looking for a top 4 left shot defenseman. Gavrikov definitely is that. He hasn't had a great season, but the Jackets have also been playing extraordinarily bad this year. Gavrikov had 5 goals and 33 points in 80 games last year. That outstanding, was a phenomenal player. This year he's played a lot more minutes with the injuries to guys like Zach Werenski and Adam Boqvist consistently being out. But he hasn't been as productive, only putting up 3 goals and 10 points in 52 games. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how well he can do in LA. I know with Columbus not doing too well, Gavrikov hasn't had a good opportunity to do really well. So hopefully a change to LA will help him produce a little bit more offensively like he did last year. There's no extension, as the Kings did want an extension, but there wasn't one. So maybe the Kings try and work out an extension in the near future. But it definitely seems that they are able to address 2 huge holes on their roster, as they get a good tandem goalie who can play with Copley, and they get a good left shot defenseman who can play on their top 4. So I think this is a really good move for the Kings. Meanwhile, for the Jackets, they get Jonathan Quick. Now I know there's a lot of people out there who were upset about Quick being dealt to the Jackets. I'm pretty surprised as well that Quick was ended up being dealt. I thought that if they were to try and acquire a goalie before the deadline, they move maybe like a Cal Pearson from the minors, maybe just run with like 3 goalies on their roster. I was not expecting Quick to be dealt because he's been a really good goalie, a huge fixture on that LA Kings team for a while now. He helped lead them to 2 cups, so I'm quite surprised that the Kings were willing to trade Quick. Now the contracts work in the Kings' favor, as it even creates a little bit more cap space for them, but I'm quite surprised to see Quick go. There's a lot of talk now that Columbus could flip Quick to another team to give Quick another chance at playoff run. So it's quite possible that Quick could still be dealt, but I don't think that's a guarantee. And I think that ending his tenure in LA like this is quite sad. So hopefully Quick can do well wherever he ends up finishing, but I am quite surprised that he wound up being dealt by LA. I think for Columbus, if they do wind up keeping him, he should be a good short-term goalie to help the Jackets finish out the season, but I wouldn't expect him to remain with Columbus beyond this season as well. So okay addition, but definitely the 2 picks were their important pieces in this trade. Now, the 2023 first-round pick from LA is a conditional pick. If the LA Kings do miss the playoffs, which is a possibility at this point, and they wind up missing, then instead of a 2023 first-round pick, the Jackets will get the Kings' 2023 second and 2024 second-round picks. So they either get a first-round pick in this year's draft if the Kings make the playoffs, or a second-round pick in this year and next year's draft if the Kings miss the playoffs. So a pretty good deal for the Jackets. They also get a 2024 third-round pick as well. So they did originally want a first and third-round pick as well as a fourth for Gavrikov, so to still get first and third is pretty good. They did have to take on Quick's contract, which I think is, like I said, really sad that he ended his tenure in LA like that, but a huge win for Columbus to get those picks. So in my opinion, I think the Kings probably do win this deal. Korpisalo and Gavrikov should both help the LA Kings in their hunt for a playoff spot and should help them on a playoff run. But I think that if the Jackets hit on both of those 2 picks, possibly 3 picks, then I think that the Jackets could end up winning this deal. So, pretty good deal. I am quite surprised Quick was moved, and hopefully he can do well wherever he ends up, but pretty good deal for the Kings to get some more good goaltending and some more help in the blue line. So, I'd definitely like to know what you think about these deals. I think that definitely the Rangers and the Kings do win these deals. I would like to know what you think. What do you think about Quick getting dealt to the Jackets and the Jackets moving Gavrikov and Korpisalo for a first and third? And what do you think about Kane to the Rangers? And what do you think about the return the Blackhawks got in exchange for Kane? So I would like to know what you think about these 2 trades. Let me know down in the comments your opinion of these 2 deals. This is all I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video and subscribe. I also do a blog, which I will leave a link to in the description below. Remember, we also are doing the March 3rd trade deadline live blog, so I would ask you to go check that out on Friday. Also, keep up to date with some of my videos on this channel, as I'm probably still going to do a couple more videos over the next couple of days, with trades still coming in as well. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.